ready to do Pulp Fiction, and I read like an early manuscript of Rum Punch, and I thought, hey, this is really good.
Rum Punch was a book that came to us in galley form. We were like, man, this is a great next movie. We should do this. And then we started to option it.
We don't know if we can commit 100%, because, you know, what if I decide to do something else? Are they going to throw me in jail? No, they don't want to do that, you know. So it was like, I felt like we were taking advantage of them because I could change my mind.
We just let it go, and then it just came back.
Way after Pulp Fiction, we were able to pick up 3 Elmore Leonard novels, and I thought I was going to do another one of them. I didn't think I would do Rum Punch. And I was just getting ready to give Rum Punch to another director that I knew. And in reading it again that night, I fell in love with it the exact same way I did a couple years before. And so I went and told Lawrence, my partner, Lawrence Bender, I said, you know, I think Rum Punch is what I want to do next.
He called me about a year before he went into production and said that he had decided to do Rum Punch rather than either Freaky Deaky or Kill Shot.
Athena sort of rose to the top, I think, in terms of his consciousness. And I was really happy because I've always loved the book, and I've always wanted to make it.
I didn't tell Elmore Leonard that I was placing in the film in the South Bay. I didn't tell him I was changing Jackie to black or anything. I just kind of talked to him about the piece a little bit and asked him some questions, and said that I would like get back in touch with him towards the end to ask him a couple more factual questions. But I decided to just give him the script.
I think we were both a little worried that Elmore Leonard was going to get like, what did he do to? I mean, what did he do to my book?
He wrote to me, no, he called me, I mean, right before I went into production on Jackie Brown. He said, I've been afraid to call you for the last year. And I said, why? Because you've changed the title and the color of the main character? And he said, yeah. I said, well, that's all right. Do what you want. You're the filmmaker. And
he really liked the script. Then he came back and said not only did he thought it was the best adaptation of his work he'd ever read, he thought it was maybe the best script he'd ever read. So it made me feel really good.
The reason why, for me, that this really works is that Quentin really captured the essence of Elmore Leonard and captured the essence of the story and the book in the script and on screen.
Jackie Brown is a wonderful script, and I thought it was a great film for Quentin to do, and because it's much more serious and it's also older people.
It's a wonderful follow-up to Pulp. You know, he has it in him, and we weren't out to make Pulp Fiction 2. We were out to do a completely different movie.
I didn't know how Quentin would be able to adapt the book or novel to his style of filmmaking.
And action!
Miss Gilmore, this is Max Cherry. I'm your son's bail bondsman. Hello. Reggie.
Hang back there, man. This shit.
Reggie is in big trouble, and if I don't get him back to jail tonight, it's going to get bigger. That's right. Now I need to pick him up, and I need you to make sure that he's there when I do. If I don't get him to jail tonight, your son's going to be looking at serious time.
Quentin said, it's about 50% Elmore Leonard and 50% me, and that's about right. You know, there's a lot of things in the book that aren't covered, but the human relationships and the caper, of course, were there in the original. But Quentin, of course, made him his own.
I told Quentin, I said, if you and Elmore Leonard had a child, this is what this is, because it really, I think it maintains a lot of that same feeling.
Market.
Action.
Hey! Oh, hi.
Are you here?
I was waiting for the phone.
Good luck, that guy's been on it since I've been here.
Well, I just better find another one. Thanks anyway.
Cut.
He has the same kind of sensibility that Elmore has. And he was able to take scenarios and create dialogue around them that made wonderful kind of cinematic sense of that novel.
I think he respected the material and he wanted to use what he could, and he found out that he could use perhaps more than expected.
I'd read Rum Punch, I'd read The Switch. I'm an Elmore Leonard fan, and when I read it, I was going in there to compare it, you know, and see how much it was like those books. And it was pretty true to the books, except it's got Quentin's humor and speed to it.
This is Jackie Brown's Cabo airbag. In it, she's going to smuggle the $500,000 from Ordell that she's brought in from Mexico. And the one thing about working with Quentin is he wants everything authentic. So we're going to really shoot the scene with $500,000. And this is, if you guys wanted to know, that's what $500,000 feels like.
It was just an explosion, the 70s, which I think is probably why everyone's interested in going back and looking at it with a magnifying glass to see what it was about.
You know, it's documented, you know, now how knowledgeable he is. It's like weirdly encyclopedic. I mean, weirdly in a good way.
Well, Quentin is educated, I think, from a broad scope of interest in film, and I think that's what has made him the filmmaker that he is today.
He liked the rough, tough exploitation pictures, of which I certainly made a few contributions.
I remember the first time he walked by my trailer and heard all this noise coming out of it, and he kind of peeped in and realized I was watching Hong Kong films between shots. That just brought this big smile to his face. So we actually talk about a lot of the same things. And the fact that he's an only child and lived in front of the television and at the movie theaters, I did too. So we just actually are almost, you know, kind of carbons or negatives of each other in a sense. I'm just a little older than he is.
I'm a big fan of blaxploitation films. I love black cinema and everything. And yeah, this is, you know, I mean, this movie is what it is. It's not a blaxploitation movie, you know. It's just, it takes its tone from that.
I like to call him the Rain Man of filmmaking. If you talk to Quentin about an obscure film like Bikini Models of the Amazon or some strange film that you would never think of, he will not only know the actors and the director, but he'll know who did the costumes for it.
He loves the genre. He's a huge fan of the 60s and the 70s. It was a good time. It was a time of innocence because the 70s were the awards of the 60s and the 50s. The marches, the restrictions were down. We had more freedoms given to us, and all across the board, not just the black community.
I know that he spent a lot of time in the black community and going to films and hanging around people, so he knows what he's talking about.
I get my inspiration from my community. I'll look at Black Enterprise and see all these women who are doing phenomenal things. That inspires me, and it's cyclical. They inspire me, I inspire them. The audience knows, because we are basically, you know, representing them. And I think that's a part of developing who you are and your humanity, being interested in other human beings.
The most integrated place I've ever seen in my life was a housing project in Tennessee, where you had all the poor blacks and the poor whites living right next to each other in this housing project, all right? And everybody was cool with everybody else. They were just all completely in the same boat.
I'm not very critical of what he does, or I don't question it in certain ways like a lot of people do, or his right to say things or write things that other people say, especially like the word nigger. So I just kind of deal with it. You know, Quentin is who he is, and he's very literary.
But I gotta say, my feeling about that is the same as my feeling about characters like saying, you know, cuss words or violence or something like that. If Elmore Leonard had written more violent scenes in the book and they had been organic, I wouldn't have hesitated about doing them at all right? But I wasn't trying to crank it up for that.
There's a very distinctive style, and not only that, all of his scripts have words in them. There aren't like 14 pages of descriptives where you don't have people talking for like 8 pages because they're saying, okay, he gets in the car, he walks down the street, he jumps over this, he runs this way. The people are talking, and things are moving with dialogue.
Marker? Roll quietly. Camera set.
Placement.
Okay, ready, guys? Here we go. So you're starting off pretty provocative with this first little tidbit. Okay? Action.
Odell has a guy working for him named Lewis.
Did you two meet?
Yeah, this afternoon before I came here.
You know, Quentin's been a Pam Grier fan forever, and then when we met her on Pulp Fiction, I was like, this woman is such an awesome lady.
He called me in for an audition for Pulp Fiction for the role that Rosanna Arquette played, but they'd already hired Eric Stoltz, and I guess Quentin after a while said, he's not going to tell Pam to shut up. You know, is that maybe that just won't work.
Well, if it's so important, why didn't you keep with the shot?
I don't know! Stop bothering me!
Listen, what you're looking for, that girl's gonna die in our carpet. You're never gonna find anything in this
I'm
mess.
going to
For 6
fucking
months,
kill you!
I've been
Joe,
telling
shut
you
up!
to clean this shit up.
Get in here! Fuck out of my way.
Pig.
She gave a great reading, and I could have cast her, but just wasn't quite right.
And he said, but we're going to work together one day. And I said, oh, yeah, right. Yeah, sure, you're going to go through the roof with this, and I'll be seeing you at premieres or something. But I did a good reading. We had a great time. And when I walked in, they were all my posters from 20 years ago when I was like a little piss and vinegar kid. And I said, did you put these up because I was coming over? And he said, no, I was going to take them down because you were coming over.
I'm a big fan of coffee. I'm a big fan of the director Jack Hill, who kind of discovered Pam, and they did the Big Bird Cage and the Big Dollhouse and Coffee and Foxy Brown.
He has been a big fan, has had posters in his office, forever. He's been collecting them. And I didn't know I was a cult figure. He informed me.
You know, she looked like Christy Love. Remember that TV show, Christy Love, about the black female cop? She always used to say,
you want to arrest, sugar? What's the name of the chick who played Christy Love?
Pam Grier.
No, it wasn't Pam Grier. Pam Grier was the other one. Pam Grier did the film. Christy Love was like a Pam Grier TV show without Pam Grier.
So who was Christy Love?
What the fuck should I know?
I've watched Pam for a long time. I guess the first time I was standing there rehearsing with her and I had my hands on her throat, I'm sitting there saying, I'm about to choke coffee. This is kind of chilling to be there and doing that, and kind of exciting in the same breath. And it's kind of hard not to fall in love with her when you're standing there looking at her.
She's so good. She's got so much energy, and she's vibrant, and she's tough when she wants to be, And yes, and her standing up against Samuel L. Jackson, that's the action in it. That's the story.
A big thing about her character is the fact that she's in her mid-40s. A lot of people, if they were making a movie, they would just immediately change that to 32 or something like that. No, it's a big thing that she's in her mid-40s. And so I had to find an actress that is mid-40s, looks like she's mid-30s, looks wonderful, all right, and looks like she can handle anything. And I was trying to think of who that would be, and I go, well, Pam Grier kind of fits that bill. That would be pretty terrific.
Quentin had the confidence to say, Pam will have all of that I need for Jackie to really, now we've got Elmore Leonard's characterization, and he writes so descriptively well, and we have Quentin Tarantino's energy and excitement and timing and style. Now Pam will bring all this from the street.
You're taking a hell of a chance, kid.
Not really. If he finds it, I'll say Mr. Walker put it in there. And I didn't know anything about it, like the coke.
Well, then you're out. You get nothing.
Yeah, but I'm not in jail, and at least I tried.
You're gonna have surveillance all over you.
That's why you don't make a move until I come out of that fitting room.
She's intimidating. I mean, she's tough. And at the same time, she is the sweetest, nicest, so tender. It's just really, I love her. We just started, literally, we're just in rehearsals, and I was thinking, well, when the film's over, I wonder if I'll be able to stay friends with her, if she's just going to disappear. Because she's this great soul.
I do think that Quentin's fascination with Pam turned into something really special when he wrote Jackie Brown, because he wanted her to soar and shine in a certain kind of way. So he puts things in her mouth and he gives her things to do that are very enhancing and exciting.
He was so excited about working with one of his all-time favorite actresses that, of course, that passion made it so exciting. It was thrilling, and I got just as excited as he because he was just so enthusiastic about working with her.
I think that with Quentin's name and Quentin and Pam Grier together, it's such a kind of exciting 1-2 punch. And then it's not like we think, oh, we got to put stars, we got to put actors. It's funny, Quentin has a really great saying. He says, I treat actors like stars and I treat stars like actors.
The thing that's weird about, like, oh, so you revive people's careers, huh? And that's your thing. I go, well, my thing is casting the right actor for the right role. I didn't just plug in John Travolta in any old role because I've always wanted to work with John Travolta. At the end of the day, I'm casting the right actor for the right role. All right, and it's just I'm looking further than the list. Pam Grier would be great in this. All right, Robert Forster would be great in this. But if it ends up now they're doing great and the career is taken off and they're in the game again in a big way, it doesn't get better than that. And you couldn't have it happen to better actors. I've always been a big fan of Robert Forster. I was always a big fan of his as an actor, and I've always liked his work a lot and wanted to work with him.
Some years ago, he sold a script to a guy I know, True Romance. And when he sold him the script, he said, and this part goes to Robert Forster. Eventually, they took the movie away from this guy and sold it to Tony Scott, apparently, and Christopher Walken did the part.
He came in and auditioned for Reservoir Dogs and wasn't quite right, but really loved him.
I was reading for the part that Lawrence Tierney eventually played. But when I read for him, Quentin said, you know what, this might not work out, and if it doesn't, don't worry. He said, one of these days I'm going to use you.
20 years, holy God. What for? Bad luck. I guess you can say that again.
And in the time of reading the book and writing the script for this, I thought of the different people who could be Max Cherry, and he was definitely one of the ones that kind of kept coming into my mind and everything.
He probably saw Alligator, and he probably saw, some of the old stuff, and he saw something, and apparently said, that guy's going to work again. Let's let him work.
He called me about a year before he went into production and said that he wanted Robert Forster for Max Cherry, who was the bail bondsman. I said, Robert Forster? I haven't seen him since Medium Cool, which was, I think, '69. He says, oh, he's still around, he's still working, and he was perfect.
There's a lot of casting directors basically just don't do their job. They know who all the other casting directors know, which is basically everybody who's on that A-list and hot B-list. Yeah. All right, but then there's there's actors like Robert Forster who have been around forever. So all right, and say, where did he go? Well, he didn't go anywhere. All right, he's been working. All right, a lot of his stuff has gone straight to video, and some of it's not good, and some of it is, and that's what it is. But his work is always good.
When Quentin said he wanted to cast him, I was like, that's a really good idea, but why don't we see other people? And I was like doing that kind of thing. And Quentin's like, no, I want Robert Forster. He's perfect for this role.
And then I bumped into him in a restaurant, and it was just like, bam, he's the guy. All right, and I just gave him the part.
Then when I met him, I really understood what he was talking about because he's such a sweet man.
He did say it was Robert Forster. He said he'd always envisioned him and that he'd been thinking. And he says, no, it's definitely, yeah. I really like him, Pam. You're really going to like him. And now I'm trying to look for his film. I'm trying to look for his shows. And I'm saying, yeah, I remember he had this dark, very calm power. And I said, oh, yeah, that's interesting. I wonder what it is like now.
Trailers.
From surviving and family and, you don't know how many marriages and divorces and children and tragedies and life stuff that you've been through and what you're like when you come out of it. And he's come out with, great humility and character and charm and a smile, and it works very, very, very well.
I'm a fan of Robert Forster's when I was a kid, and I was actually really impressed with him when I first met him. A little nervous around him and stuff. It's interesting because he's a very understated guy.
You know, I used to watch his television show, and I watched several films that he's in. We actually get along very well off camera. Just kind of interesting because those two characters kind of butt heads, but sometimes you have to have that kind of rapport off camera so that when you do the things that we have to do on camera with each other, you know, you're able to do them and not have any self-consciousness about it. It was fun, you know. You get feelings when you're doing scenes with someone that things are going right and that they're clicking. And every scene that I did with Robert had that feeling.
Sam Jackson, I never worked with anybody as good. See, this guy's from theater, so he prepares the way I try to prepare.
Quentin said, yeah, Sam's going to play Ordell. And I said, ooh, another nice move.
Sam, he just says Quentin's lines probably better than anybody else alive.
Some kind of karmic meeting somewhere in there that when Quentin writes the stuff, it comes out of my mouth kind of naturally.
Sam is just a riot. He cracks me up, and we had a great relationship as Melanie and Ordell. You sort of like him in spite of hating him, or I do anyway, Melanie does.
I'd say Sam Jackson is about the most graceful actor I've ever seen. He's just totally graceful, the way he works. It's really, really impressive.
Sam has a lot of power and in his work, you know, intensity, and he has such a presence, and I was just fascinated by it. Now, I've seen him play, you know, the character in Pulp Fiction.
And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
Where will he go on this one? That was my curiosity, you know, and he's just done a phenomenal job, just phenomenal.
I actually create a lot of stuff around my characters, and I bring stuff to them. Like this whole thing is like something that I brought with me, because this is who I thought Ordell was. And Quentin has all this other stuff that he's bringing, and we find a way to meet and take the stuff that I bring, the stuff that he has there, and the kinds of things that he wants to do inside a scene, and make some kind of magic happen.
Samuel L. Jackson added a lot, I thought, to the part. In fact, there was a scene, one scene in particular, when the scene starts up on the balcony of an apartment house, and then they come down and then they're standing by the trunk, and he wants them to get in the trunk. And they expanded on that scene from what it was in the book because they liked it.
Sam is just perfect. He was almost too perfect, all right? You know, it was like, no, he was just terrific in it. You know, there's a little part of Sam that is Ordell.
I've been having kind of that kind of year this year, you know, and then all of a sudden the first day we're on set together in that bar, I'm sitting there doing this huge scene with Bobby De Niro. You still want to do your job, and you want to be involved in your job, but in the back of your mind you're still saying, this is Robert De Niro. I'm actually doing a scene, I'm acting with Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro was somebody that we were actually talking to about working with on another project. We were circling around.
It was kind of funny how Bob got the script because I wasn't 100% sure that he would respond to Lewis. And before I'd even built up the courage or whatever to send it his way, Harvey Weinstein had slipped it to him.
He's so great in this movie. It's a character that you really haven't seen him play. And it's an amazing performance. It's very subtle and very funny.
He's got some funny lines and everything, but it's really a character that's internal. It's a character where the characterization is all done through body language. And like the way the guy stands, the way he sits, the way he smokes a cigarette, you know, all those kind of things. Well, that's one of the things that Robert De Niro does as well, if not better than anybody else, all right, is inhabiting a character through behavior.
I had no idea what he was doing until I saw the film, and then I realized, oh my God, he is like discovering the world again after being locked up for 4 years.
He's got his own thing going. It's going beautifully. It's so specific and subtle and just pays off so great.
And I thought De Niro was great, the way he played the part. This guy had been to prison and he'd learned a few things, but it also, you see some wear and tear on him.
From the first shot between him and Sam Jackson, you just really know who Lewis is by just the way he's holding that little drink of his and his kind of slumped over thing and just kind of half listening, half falling asleep. All right, yeah, with both Ordell droning at him and these girls, you know, getting him, and then it's not until you go to the mall that you actually have any plot function. Yeah. in the movie, you know, Lewis' character is very much freed of the plot. You literally get to know him the way you get to know somebody in real life. You get to know him through hanging out with him.
That was the only thing that was is everything.
Parking? Bridget was someone that Quentin pretty much had in mind as well from the beginning. She was perfect casting.
I know Bridget pretty well, and I like her a lot. But we've never really got a chance to work together, and I always wanted to get to know her more because you know how it is, you know, actors and stuff. He's over here and I'm over there, and da 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 da.
He says, read The Switch, which is the book that Elmore Leonard did, which introduces a lot of the same characters before Rum Punch, which would be Jackie Brown.
She said, Quentin wants me to read for Rum Punch. I thought, God, great. And I particularly liked that character who had just been living off of men now for a good 15 years by the time she gets to Ordell.
It's a very important thing to me, being from California, that the girl's a California, you know, surfer girl, all right? And that's a very special look.
It was a different experience than I've ever had, a feeling of working on a character before having read the script.
And as opposed to like playing it cool and seeing her and seeing a bunch of other actresses, again, wait months and months before I was finished with the script. I saw her on an airplane, all right, and then just like gave her the part.
Bridget's another one of those people that it was kind of a privilege for me to be able to do something with. I mean, I've watched her for a long time and know she's from a good bloodline of actors, and it was great to be able to do the stuff that we did together.
And I was concerned about her getting too much sun, you know. It's like, oh, okay, everyone, we're all like moms and dads on this show. Watch out, put on, cover up.
It's a great environment to work in. I don't know if all of his movies are like this, but everybody's a lot of fun, the crew and the other actors, and he's great. It was fun to come to work.
Michael is an actor that I've always loved, and I know Quentin's a big fan of his, and we've always been circling around wanting to work together, and it just kind of worked out, you know. Quentin and Michael met.
Went through the whole meeting convincing me how he's not right for the part.
I said, well, I don't know, I have no clue what to do.
I get together with him again, and we're talking, and wants to work with me, loves the project and everything, but he just doesn't know about this Nicolette guy, if he's got the right handle for it, all right?
And the more I talked to him, I said, all right. And then I went and thought, okay, I better figure something out here.
And then he shows up, and bang, he was the guy. It was really funny. It was like, oh, I've never gone through that process before. That was very interesting.
He's a great natural actor, and I had to get over, you know, some nerves working with him because it's Beetlejuice.
Michael Keane's so full of piss and vinegar, you know, he's got so much going on inside of him, and he took that wonderful little part and really made it something interesting and great to work with.
He's so natural. He's such a good actor that he's that guy, you know. I think it really worked very well. I was surprised that he was able to play in that and also in Out of Sight the same character. But he changed from a DEA agent, I think, to FBI, and just to make it work. It was funny to see him playing the same character in both movies, you know.
Dad, this is Ray Nicolette.
Hey, hi. Hi. Pleasure to meet you. I heard a lot about you.
Likewise.
Ray's working with the FBI task force on the prison break.
I see that. Tell me, Ray, you ever wear one that says undercover? No?
How's it going?
Sit down. Okay. Good. Good. We caught one of them.
Was it Foley?
Was it off a tip? Yeah.
Somebody spotted two of them out in this hobo camp near the airport, you know, called in a number.
I knew it as soon as I saw there was a reward.
Maybe it was a Foley.
No. Lenard's one of the Cubans. We went in there, you know, full SWAT, 2 choppers, that whole deal. Lenard's goes, let's start shooting, so we took him out. I don't know how Chirino got away, but he did.
And Foley hadn't been there.
No, this place was strictly Cuban. You know, if Foley had a ride, he must have his own agenda. You know what I mean? He seems to be the only guy who kind of knows what he's doing.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
When someone says, here's your playing field, and you put Michael in it, man, look out. He's playing all the positions and having a great time.
Do this again? You owe Rowan a tongue bath.
We very much have a good time, all right, on the set, all right? That's a big, big thing for me. It's like, you know, I've worked with a whole lot of people during the course of my career and everything, and the crew just keeps getting, you know, taking this person from this one and add this person, and then we work on this and this person. So it's like by the time we did Jackie Brown now, it's like we had a wonderful crew, you know, and they're like my family. It's one of the reasons I like making movies, is making movies with my family.
1, 2, 3.
It's a great thing when you get to work with a friend, with someone who you love to hang out with, and you respect what they do, and nobody does it as good, and you know it, and you can say it right to their face.
Well, what Quentin did is what I would expect at its best. He's clear about what he wants. In his case, he adapted it, but adapted it very well. Made the script his own, more or less, as you would say. And then finally, just being very appreciative of whatever I was doing. And if you have a director who is responsive to that, and has that sensibility, it's a lot of fun.
Quentin has found a way to come in and be very gentle and say, take your time, calm down, and just kind of, you know, be in the moment.
He's so great, and his films are so much fun, and he also tries so many different things. Let's try this here, let's try this here, let's do a split screen here, let's do this, let's do that. He's so much fun to work for.
I think he's in the ideal position that he writes, produces, directs, and knows what he's doing, and it's something new and different. It's always fresh and fun.
This guy is so generous. He's generous to everybody, and not just the actors and not just the big guys. The set was full of people who love him, and there were laughs all day long. That says something about him.
When Quentin comes on the set, his enthusiasm infects everyone, starting with the actors and trickling right down to craft service and the guys out there driving the trucks. And when you work on that kind of film with Quentin, he gives the whole crew that energy, and that transfers right through to the actors and right through to the finished product.
We're always messing with each other, and we have a skirt day. On that day, all the male members of the crew just show up in a dress, all right? A dress or a skirt or whatever, all right? And we had some pretty creative guys actually showing up. And the gaffer, David Lee, actually showed up in this like little kind of fringe number with kind of hanging on his shoulders, and was like kind of taken aback at how good David's shoulders looked, actually, you know? It was like, talking to some of the other crew members, like, is it just me, or was like David starting to get to you by the end of the day? You know, he was looking good. Oh, I'm glad you said that. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, so David, that light up there, I think we need to put a flag on that, don't you think? Yeah, buddy, yeah.
The people at Del Amo, I think, got such a kick out of it, because here are these people that are sort of in awe of the whole time.
kind of watching the process of making a film, watching Quentin, watching these actors who they know about, and then all of a sudden this appears one morning, and it relaxed everybody. Everyone just realized that the film people are just as silly as everyone else.
Good morning, Sam. All right. Hey, Sam. How are you?
What dress? Birthday today.
It's always fun to be a part of what he's created. Even though this was an Elmore Leonard novel first, still has this very Quentin-esque quality to it.
His stuff is so good that bringing anything to it is, you know, a matter of his asking you to, not you needing to.
It was absolutely fun working on Jackie Brown all the time.
What a cast! What a cast and what a crew! And Quentin at the lead.
He's very smart because he keeps it very relaxed. He keeps it fresh, so you can always create, and he gives you room to create.
He doesn't roll over. He hears you, and if you get the sense that if it's genuinely a better idea, he's got no problem saying, "Oh, I like that better. Do that."
Budget and actor schedules and locations. You're always under pressure. There's always a certain amount of time in a day you have to shoot. In that sense, it's never easy. But what we do, I think, is because we love making movies. It's not commerce first, it's art first.
He loves actors. He is an actor. He wants his actors to be great. He does take after take, and he throws you ideas as you're going along. It's a lovely process.
I'm never going to move on until I get it. All right, that's just the number one thing, you know. And we've done all this stuff to get all these people together here. The film is the least expensive thing there. It's about the journey. It's not about the destination. Well, I think what it did for Robert Forster in like a really great way was it just reminded people that he was there. You know, he hadn't retired; he was still working and everything. And like and people in the low budget monster movie, Uncle Sam, Maniac Cop 5, all right, a world, they knew who he was and were using him. Fred Williamson was using him, all right. He wasn't on, he wasn't not only was he not on the A list, he wasn't on the B list, he wasn't even on the C list, all right. People just forgot about him, all right. Now they haven't forgot about him. Now they know he's out there, and he's been working in big movies, and he's like he did this movie, this David Mamet movie, Houseboat, and he actually started in this movie called Diamond Men. That's just really terrific. He was wonderful in it. But he's like doing in big films. He was in the Psycho remake. He was in the he had the Simon Oakland part in that. He was in the Rear Window remake. He had the Wendell Corey part in that. And he's like starring. He's like the leading man in all these independent films and stuff. And it's just great. It's just really, really, really cool for him. It's like now he's now he's working. He's doing fantastic. It was actually kind of cool. after he'd seen the movie, I talked to Steven Spielberg, and he goes, "Man, that Robert Forster was fantastic, man. You brought him back in a really wonderful way. It was like, what a surprise. It was so terrific." And it's like, well, it wasn't that much of a surprise to me. I knew he would be good in it. He just had the opportunity. But it just kind of shows you how, actors haven't lost their chops. They haven't lost their power. They just, all of a sudden, these group of casting directors that are the big casting directors don't know who, have forgotten about him, don't know who he is. They're not on anybody's list, all right? And so now all of a sudden, you give him a part, you show that he can sign, and all of a sudden he's on the list again. That was actually one of the coolest things, because that really is how most movies get cast, is there's this list that the studios have, all the casting directors have, and it's the same list, all right, of the same people. And it was really funny. Like the first time, a friend of mine who was trying to make a movie, William Morris, sent them a list of actors of under 30, over 40, that kind of thing. And I was like going through it for this guy's project, just looking at it, who they were suggesting, and there was Robert Forster on the list, and that made me feel really good, because okay, now he's officially back on. I mean, it's tangible. I'm holding the list in my hand, and there he is now, and he wasn't there last year, so that was really cool.
So now, were you surprised with all the critical acclaim that Robert got off that movie, and the fact that he was nominated for an Academy Award?
Well, I wasn't surprised about the critical acclaim, because he was wonderful. How could they say anything bad about his performance, all right? And there also is that kind of cool thing of comebacks are fun, because there is this aspect of, because actors get hot for a certain period of time. I'm talking even about character actors too, all right, for a period of 5 or 6 years. So it's like, you go to movies and you keep seeing the same actors, especially character actors. Character actors can do 6 movies a year, all right? So you keep seeing the same people in the same movies all the time, all right? Now, if I have that problem and you have that problem, the critics really have that problem, and they're just seeing the same people over and over and over again. And so to see somebody, and critics might have, like a touch more sense of film history or something like that. So they might have remembered who Robert Forster is. Oh yeah, medium cool. All right, or oh yeah, Banyan. So it's like, or Stalking Moon or whatever. And so it's like, it's kind of fun. They're going to say, "Oh wow," and this is fresh, and this is, I haven't seen that guy play this role. It's not Gene Hackman playing it for the 9th time this year, And so it's it's cool. I expected that, all right. But it was really funny because I wanted Robert to get like an Oscar nomination. But it was funny because I really wanted Pam and Sam and Robert in particular to get Oscar nominations, all right, or to get acclaim and awards and everything like that. And so Pam and Sam both got nominated for a Golden Globe, all right. So I was really happy for them. Oh man, Robert Forster got left behind, and there was this kind of aspect. He's the one that needed it the most, of the 3, all right. And so then the SAG Awards came out, and Pam and Sam got nominated for the SAG Awards, and Robert didn't get nominated. So I just figured, okay, it's, Robert's not going to get the nominations. It's going to be the Pam and Sam show, all right. And then Pam and Sam didn't get nominated for an Oscar, and Robert did. And I was shocked by that. I was really surprised. And it was weird because I was really happy Robert got nominated for an Oscar, but I was really sad that Pam didn't get nominated. I said that Sam didn't either, but it was like, but Sam's a big player. He'll, if he's not here this year, he'll be there next year. But it's like, I really wanted Pam to be like the first black actress to ever win an Academy Award, and the fact that she didn't even get nominated, just made me have to I don't know, maybe Spike Lee's right, man. I mean, who was better than her that year? I mean, I don't know. So.
Going back to your Spielberg comment, you have reinvented 3 people's careers, but you don't hear of other directors going out on the limb for that.
Yeah, I don't really. It's not like, oh, that is my intention, setting out to, people do come up to me, who are you going to bring back next time, who's next on the radar, who's next on the list, and I'm not coming from that place, all right, I'm just coming from, I'm trying to cast, the best actors or the coolest actors in whatever role, all right? And I'm just not using, you know, the hot star list in order to do it. And the thing about it is, if somebody's like if an actor is like, you know, it's like you look at a given role and you could say, okay, Gene Hackman could play it, or Paul Newman could play it, or Morgan Freeman could play it, all right, and something like that. And I'm not against those guys; they're fantastic, all right. And if Gene Hackman is like the best person to play the role, then I would want Gene Hackman. You know, I wrote a lot of the dialogue for Crimson Tide, and it was, you know, he has said my dialogue as wonderful as anyone's ever said my dialogue. You know, he's fantastic. It was just a dream, you know, to, you know, go to the Cinerama Dome and watch Crimson Tide and see Gene Hackman like do my stuff. All right, but yeah, there's Morgan Freeman, and yeah, there's Gene Hackman, and you know, there's Paul Newman, but you know, there's also John Saxon, all right? There's also David Carradine, all right? There's also Michael Parks. There's also like a lot of really, really cool, terrific actors, all right? And I am fortunate enough to be in a situation that I can cast one of those guys, all right? And give them that part, give them, you know, the situation to shine and, you know, show what they got. And the thing is, it's like, you know, and it's like, and the thing is, I'm not coming from like, you know, I'm trying to get people in that are going to bring people in on the Friday that it opens. But, you know, for the genre fans, for the film fans, you know, for the film buffs, you know, the Ain't It Cool News group and everything, David Carradine is like as exciting as Gene Hackman in something, or Paul Newman, or anybody.
Sam, he was a great actor with Pulp Fiction, but a lot of the world didn't know him. He really kind of came to everyone's focus with that movie, and then you cast him again in Jackie Brown. What is it about Sam that he just glows in your movies?
Well, you know, Sam is like a theater dog, all right? You know, I mean, you know, Sam is like, you know, Sam is a actor, all right? I mean, yeah, I always work with actors, but I mean, he's a real actor. I mean, like, it was like he came out of the womb an actor, all right? And went to school to study for acting, and then boom, immediately hit theater, all right? And was understudies and, you know, summer stock and, you know, repertory theater and everything. You know, I mean, he is a working actor. Like, you know, that's what he does. All right, and you know, other like actors, they're actors, and they also have hobbies in life. You know, it's pretty much, you know, Sam's hobby, he plays golf, but other than that, you know, he's an actor, and that's what he does. You know, and actually he always like jokes about, you know, he likes you going and doing a movie because I like being on the first day. You know, I like to do the first day of the movie. I like to like, you know, kick ass first day off the bat. You know, and you know, Sam shows up and he knows his lines. You know, and it's, you know, he's just a real pro. And the thing is, Sam was wonderful in tons of movies before Pulp Fiction. But the thing is actually really, I mean, you know, it's like, you know, Spike Lee's the one who really kind of brought Sam out in a big way. Before Spike started casting him in movies, I think Sam's first movie where he actually had something to do was Ragtime. All right, but before that, it's like, you know, Sam was like, you know, doing Under Fives. You know, when you look at that opening sequence in Sea of Love, you'll see Sam in there, a couple lines in there. All right, you know, you would see Sam, and you know, he's the guy robbing the hamburger stand in Coming to America. Shows up for, you know, like 2 minutes. You know, has like a little scene like that. And he was always doing episodic, you know, along with theater, he was always doing episodic television shows and stuff. He used to joke that, like, you know, every year he would go to Chicago so Robert Urich could kick his ass, you know, at Spencer for Hire. You know, he was like, every season you'd go there, you know, get his ass kicked by Robert Urich, you know, and they call him back again next season. Okay, Sam, we get another part for you to get beat up by Spencer. Okay, great. And so, like, you know, here's this powerhouse, but just really it wasn't having any luck in films. And then, you know, Spike cast him in a couple movies, and then he, you know, in particularly in Jungle Fever, and that set him off. And then, you know, he was doing stuff, and then along came Pulp Fiction. And there's just, I've said it before, Lawrence has said it before, Sam has said it before, but you can't really quite say it enough. It's, nobody quite says my dialogue the way Sam does. Now, there's other actors that do it, and they can do it as good in their way as Sam does. All right, but there's an aspect to my dialogue, and I never try to hit on it. It's just all subconscious, it all happens. But there's an aspect to my dialogue that is, I don't want to call it poetry, but there is a relation to poetry. It's not songwriting, but there is a relation to songwriting. It's not rap, but there is relation to rap. It's about rhythm, and you know, it's not soliloquies, but it has a relationship to soliloquies. All right, it's about rhythm and cadence, and there's a singing aspect, not to everything I write, but definitely the stuff I give to Sam. There is, and Sam sings my dialogue. I mean, it's just no other way to say it. You know, he turns it into the poetry that it was always meant to be. I'm not trying to be highfalutin by saying that. It's just, you know, but he brings the music out in it in just this special way that he owns. And it's a, you know, and the character of Jules was just wonderful. And then with, you know, Ordell, I think, you know, we just kicked it up even more. It's like, you know, it's like Ordell was not better than Jules, but it's like, you know, he's you know, he manages to be bigger and more realer at the exact same time. There's more of a, you know, he's scarier than Jules, but he's more human at the same time. He's less of like, you know, he's less of a, you know, this cool stylized thing, and more of just like this real guy, as big as he is. There's a real aspect to him. And I just love the way, as the movie goes on, he turns into a monster. You know, it's like, you know, he's very, you know, he's very entertaining and, you know, affable and funny and scary in the film at the beginning. But by the end, when he's like with Robert Forster and he's driving in the car and he's, you know, his hair's down and stuff, and that was all Sam's idea, the whole thing of the long hair and the goatee, the whole kind of samurai, you know, a mad kung fu priest on the mountain look that he had. You know, that was all Sam came up with that, and it was just terrific. It just made it. And you know, and Sam had no problem going with, like, you know, the costumes that he had, which was really funny because it was like, you know, like the white people on the set, like, you know, the costume designer, they go, "Is this too bold? Is this whatever?" You know, and it's like me and Sam were explaining, "No, you don't understand. All right, you blacken your dressing, and you know, the Kangol hat, the red Kangol hat, and the red shirt and the red shoes. It's like, no, if the colors don't match, you're too poor. All right, you don't got enough money to make the shit match. All right, you know, your shit's out of line. All right, no, it's all lime green. It's all beige." And that's, you know, that's the way that's the look of it. That's the way you go down. Now, if you have the wrong color Kangol, no, you don't be mixing colors. No, it's about one color. You know, it's about matching. And you know, and so, like, you know, so he was keeping the other people honest as far as that stuff was concerned. But no, he was just wonderful. But God, by the end of the movie, when he's in the car with Robert Forster, and he's saying, "If I go in there, I see anybody, I'm gonna shoot you first, and then I'm gonna kill her, and then I'm gonna still get my money." He's scary. I mean, he's like a monster in a monster movie by that point. But he's a human monster. You see where he's coming from. You almost even feel a little sorry for Ordell, because that is his money. That's his money. I mean, Pam is stealing the money from him. She doesn't earn that money. That money's not owed to her. She doesn't deserve it. He's worked his ass off. We've watched him put every brick into place to make his little stash. You know, one of the things that's in the, not in the movie, but it's it was, again, a scene I wrote that I ended up taking out before the type stage, back on the handwritten stage, is, you know, the whole idea is like, you know, okay, I'm gonna get my $1 million and I'm out, all right? Now, $1 million really doesn't go that far anymore, as far as like, okay, I'm gonna live the rest of my life, all right? And like De Niro's character brought that up to him at one point and goes, you know, $1 million doesn't go that far. He goes, in the Philippines it does. I'm gonna make that $1 million, I'm gonna move to the Philippines, you pay motherfucker, you know, you get a butler, you know, 5 cents an hour, you know, shit, I'll live there forever, spend the rest of my life spending in the Philippines. So actually that was Ordell's plan. He's gonna make his $1 million, he's gonna move to the Philippines, and I live like fucking Elvis. Never made it from the handwritten stage. From the handwritten stage, never made it to the type stage.
Sam working with Robert De Niro. Sam, in his interviews, like so funny and humble, and working with Robert De Niro.
Well, it's funny though because it's like, you know, Sam is actually usually never humble. All right, you know, he gives you, you know, you have to catch him. It's actually quite wonderful. He'll have a humble moment. All right, because it's part of Sam's bravado. All right, he wasn't going to let De Niro know. All right, that like, wow, you know, and it's like, and also in playing Ordell, you know, he's full of all of his bravado, like, ha ha ha, you know, all that stuff. All right, so he's got that going on. All right, but it's like, you know, all of a sudden, it'll peek through. All right, whereas like Sam's doing the part, you know, he's doing his first scene with De Niro. We're at the bar and they're talking. He's like, he's doing his thing, and then at some point, you know, he's thinking about. He really was thinking about Ordell. He's not thinking about De Niro in that scene. But then at some point in the scene, he's like, I'm talking to Robert De Niro. I'm acting with Robert De Niro. How cool is it? Look, De Niro's listening to me. It's my scene. You know, and you know, all of a sudden, you know, he's like, you know, remembering watching Mean Streets. He's remembering watching Goodfellas. All right. He was like, this is my year. This has been happening because he was like doing Sphere with Dustin Hoffman at the time. So he was like literally traveling from set working with Dustin Hoffman to working with Robert De Niro. And he said the same thing happened with Pam Grier. You know, and to tell you the truth, that was the one that actually that like, you know, it like brings back the most young memories as far as like sitting in a movie theater and watching this. And you know, he said that it was really cool because it's like, you know, every once in a while,
tus tráilers.
Sam will let
Visita
you
mi
like,
canal.
like inside, and, you know, tell you about those moments, and it was really kind of cool because you know, because you know, his thing is, you know, he's Ordell. And, you know, Sam's not too far from Ordell anyway, all right? So it's like, you know, Sam's always kind of full of bravado. But when we did the rehearsal, and they're doing the, you know, the scene where he puts his hands around her neck, he said he just had this flash. He goes, oh, my God, I'm choking coffee. I got my hands, this is pretty goddamn cool. That's coffee. I'm looking in coffee's eyes. You know, and it's just like little moments like that that's really cool that, like, you know, it's like, one is cool, but also there's moments like that that let you know how far you've come. You know, he remembers being in a theater, or, you know, in where he's from, like North Carolina or wherever, you know, watching Coffee in a theater and thinking about, hey, I'd like to be one of those guys in this movie. I'd like to be up on that screen. All right, and now here he is. All right, and so it's like moments like that that let you know, wow, I've made it. Here's a ruler to see where I was and now where I am. But you know, but also to say one more thing about Sam that was just really, really, really terrific is, yeah, that's about Pam Grier. Yeah, that's about Dustin Hoffman. That's about Robert De Niro. But it's not, you know, Sam has a list like mine, and Sam's list isn't just the hot list either. All right. You know, and Sam has similar memory. You know, we grew up watching a lot of the same movies, so our list of cool actors and hero actors and magic movie moments that we've had in the theaters, you know, are fairly similar. All right, so when I was, when we were doing Pulp Fiction, the Japanese kung fu actor Sonny Chiba, who starred in many, many movies, but in particular for known in America for the Street Fighter series, the first movie ever rated X for violence. All right, the incredible Sonny Chiba. All right, Sonny Chiba came and visited the set of Pulp Fiction because I've become friends with him, you know, going to Japan and doing, you know, my press junket stuff, and I wanted to meet Sonny Chiba. All right, so Sonny visits America, and I'm shooting Pulp Fiction, so he goes on the set. And it was great, because Sam was just like, you know, walked over. He was like doing a scene. He was doing the scene where he kills Brett. You know, he's doing the Ezekiel speech. All right, and he literally walks over to, you know, like Sonny Chiba. He's got his Jerry Curl wig on, and he's got the black suit on, and he just walks over and sees Sonny Chiba. Mr. Chiba, it is an honor to make your acquaintance. I am such a true fan of your work. You know, and it was just really, really, really great to see Sam give it over to him like that. But the same thing on Jackie Brown. When we were doing the scene in the courtroom, and then there's the actor, Sid Haig, who plays the judge. Now, if you grew up watching blaxploitation movies, you totally know who Sid Haig is. I mean, Sid Haig is like, was almost like was sort of like the Sam Jackson, actually, to tell you the truth, all right, of a lot of exploitation movies. He's in most of Pam. He was in most of her women in prison movies. He's in Black Mama, White Mama. He was in Big Birdcage, Big Dollhouse, all right, as well as he's in Coffee. He's in Foxy Brown. They're like a little team, actually. And so Sid Haig had to be in the movie. All right? I had to put Sid Haig in. And it was like kind of, because he was always playing a nefarious character, so it was great to cast him as a judge, And actually, just remember, like, the first time, Pam hadn't seen him in a long time. And so she shows up in her county blues, all right, waiting to be, like, arraigned. All right, so she's in the witness box there. And all of a sudden, Sid, all right, not like an actor coming in. Sid, like, enters the set in his judge robes, or he doesn't say hello to anybody. He just, like, steps into the box, all right, and Pam's just like, look at Sid! And it was really, really cool. Now, and it was just, I loved Sid Haig. It was great, and he hadn't worked in a long time, so it was really, really cool. Anyway, Sam's in the scene. He's in the back of the courtroom, watching the whole proceedings. And it was so cool because, now, Sam couldn't be more on the top of his game. He's a huge star. This is, his thing. And he totally knows who Sid Haig is, loves Sid Haig, and even knows the similarity between, like, their two styles. You see what I'm talking about? Look at those movies I mentioned, all right, and think about Sam Jackson. Oh, God, he kind of was kind of like a Sam kind of character, like in the early 70s. And Sam literally walked over to him, and it was just gave him so much respect, just like, just tons of respect, and it's actor to actor, and it was just like, Mr. Haig, I just want you to know it is an honor to be in a scene with you. I have admired your work for many years, and it's a pleasure. It is a pleasure to be in the same scene with you, and it was gratifying. It was just a wonderful. It was one of my favorite moments of Jackie Brown, actually. I had wonderful moments in Jackie Brown, but that was one of my favorite ones. Was Sam doing that for Sid?
Another actor was never really talked about, not even in the piece.
Y tus trailers. Visita mi canal.
What did you think of his performance?
Oh man, Chris is amazing in the movie. Chris is great. I mean, I was like talking to the film critic of the New York Times, Elvis Mitchell, and there's an aspect about the whole Beaumont section, everything involving Beaumont. All right, from Sam going to Robert Forster's office to bail Beaumont out, to then him going to Beaumont and then killing Beaumont, and then showing De Niro Beaumont's body, all right, and kind of wrapping it all up. You're going to do what you need to do, That's almost like a little movie unto itself. It's almost like the whole movie of Jackie Brown in fast forward. All right, everything that happens to Jackie Brown, we can always reference what happened to Beaumont. And so it's like this little kind of thing unto itself. And the critic of the New York Times, Elvis Mitchell, says, he goes like, I think that's your best work. I think the best thing you've ever done is the Beaumont section in Jackie Brown. I think that's your finest work. And it's I like that. I like that sequence a lot, actually. I think it's really, really cool. And Chris is wonderful in it. In fact, it was really cool because it was a combination. It was funny because Chris normally improvises his dialogue, all right, in his movies. All right, just like the page is like a guide. All right, there's a few plot things in there he's got to get across, but after that he's just doing it all. And I remember when he came down to do rehearsal, it was really neat because he was like, normally I make my own shit up, but like your shit's so good, I'm gonna like learn it. I'm gonna do it because your shit's good. Now, having said that, he completely did what I wrote, and then just threw in a couple of lines that are the funniest lines in the piece. It's so funny, all right, and they're not even like, they're hysterical jokes, but they're not jokes. They're just like the things he would say, the things he would fill in. And my favorite line in that whole speech, and it's like they just do nothing but talk. But my favorite line of that speech is like, you catch a nigga off guard with this shit, all right?
I piss my pants every time he says that, all right? And I just threw that in. And he's just, it was fantastic. But it was also really wonderful because, when he does like Rush Hour or Money Talks or, any of his like, big comedies he does, it's like, he shows up there, he's the man, I don't know, but I assume he has an entourage, and it's like, it's the Chris Tucker show. And he's doing his thing, and God love him, all right? But he didn't want to do that on Jackie Brown. He didn't show up with any entourage. He showed up by himself. He showed up by himself. We picked him up. We drove him to work. And he came down there to work as an actor. All right? He wanted to work as an actor. He was totally doing me a favor because he's like, he'd already blown up and was primed to like explode. All right? He had blown up already. He was going to explode after Rush Hour came out. But it's like, he was we met each other. We really got along. We really liked each other and everything. And so he liked the part. And so he wanted to, he wanted to work with Sam, and he wanted to work with me, and he wanted to do, do a scene, show up and be an actor in a scene, as opposed to be a comedian in a comedy vehicle and everything. And he proved his chops like 100%. I would work with Chris in a New York second.
Talking with lots of people, whether they be critics or just anybody, a lot of people liked the movie when it came out, but now they go back and watch it, and a lot of people seem to prefer it over Pulp Fiction.
Yes, but there's also, I think there's a little bit of like revisionist history going on with there too. All right, it's like it's one of those movies I think that actors can I like Jackie Brown more than Pulp Fiction. Jackie Brown is deeper, and and there's more to it, and it's more human, and it's more character nuance. All right, which works really good until you see Pulp Fiction. Like, okay, forget that. So I mean, I think there is like that kind of thing, or people who never liked Pulp Fiction, all right, can like embrace Jackie Brown. But Jackie Brown was always meant to go. I never had any intention of trying to top Pulp Fiction with Jackie Brown. I wanted to go underneath Pulp Fiction with Jackie Brown. All right, I wasn't trying to blow your mind with Jackie Brown, even though that song, didn't I blow your mind? I was trying to just dig deeper into character and entrench myself more. It's like the kind of thing, like if I had done Jackie Brown when I was like 48, everyone was like, oh, look at this mature Tarantino, this is, see, he's maturing in such a, wonderful way as he's getting older. Well, I could do that, well, motherfucker, I could do that shit right after Pulp Fiction. I didn't need to get older to do that. I could do that. All right, next movie, I'll blow your mind again. But I wanted to, I wanted to get, really get more into character. And just, more of a, a character piece and create its own rhythms. And Jackie Brown was always, I knew the film, the film didn't cost that much, so I knew it was going to do pretty good no matter what it did, as far, no matter how it did. I wasn't trying to reach Pulp Fiction's grosses and everything like that. So I didn't have to worry about, like, the opening weekend, necessarily, so I didn't worry about it. It was like, there's got to be a thing more about, you got to think about your movie longer than just the opening weekend that it plays. You have to think about, how's the movie going to play 3 years from now? How's it going to play 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And Jackie Brown, I really set out to do that. I wanted to, it was my Rio Bravo, which is, it's a hangout movie, all right? And Jackie Brown is better the second time. And I think it's even better the third time and the fourth time, all right? Keep on going. Because the first time, you see it and you like it, but you still have this plot in the way. And you got to, figure out what's going on and whatever, and so you're really kind of involved in the plot. Second time you see it, the plot function is gone. You don't have to think about it anymore. And you actually, and maybe even the first time you see it, go, why are we doing all this hanging out? Why don't we get to more of the plot? But now the second time you see it and the third time you see it, you're not thinking about the plot anymore. You're waiting for the hangout scenes. You're waiting for the scenes to, just like hang out with the characters, all right? And so that's why, it gets even more resonance the second time and the third time. And to me, the thing that Rio Bravo did, that, it's like, I remember the very first time I saw Rio Bravo, but I remember more that 15th time I saw Rio Bravo, all right? Because there's a really great storyline going on in Rio Bravo, but it's about hanging out with the characters and watching the movie. You know, John Wayne, Ricky Nelson, Dean Martin in those movies, they become like my friends, and I'm Angie Dickinson, Feathers. You're watching the movie, and you like, it's like you're hanging out with them, like it's your friends. When you put in the tape of Rio Bravo, it's like you're inviting a bunch of friends over. Same thing with Rick Linklater's movie Dazed and Confused. When I watch Dazed and Confused, those are like my friends now, and I'm like, it's like I'm at a party with my friends. And I wanted Jackie Brown to be the same way. You know, you're hanging out with these people, you know, and you're getting to know them not through plot functions. You're not getting to know them because they're slaves to a plot that's working. You're getting to know them the way you get to know people. You know, you're having screwdrivers with Ordell. All right, you're drinking white wine with Jackie. All right, you're taking bong hits with Melanie. All right, you know, it's like, you know, that's it's all, you know, it's all these big hangout moments, and this bar and this couch, and you know, this lounge, and it's, you know, it's you know, so once you get the movie under your belt once and you know the story, then it's just about the characters from that point on, and hopefully. I wanted Jackie Brown to be a gift that could just keep on giving. You know, maybe you could watch it every 3 years, all right? Then it'll be just as fresh as it was the first time and everything, and you know the people even more. Maybe you'll keep watching it, you know, forever, which is the hope. Just to hang out with Jackie and Ordell and Melanie and Lewis and Max again.
Now, Michael Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit about his character in Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
And then the evolution, how did he get in out of sight?
Well, the whole situation with Nicolette was really, Michael Keaton as Nicolette was really, really great. Was, you know, Nicolette's a small character in the book, but he's an important plot function, and he's there. He's a cool character, but he just doesn't have, like, you know, the weight of all the other characters. So it's like, I actually kind of needed an actor who could do me a favor. I actually kind of needed an actor who could, like, show some, you know, some starshine. And make the character, because he doesn't really have the dialogue to do it, doesn't really have the situations to do it, who could bring the pizzazz that he has in the book that Emma Leonard could do in prose, just with their personality, with their body language, with their voice, with their timing. And so there's no 2, 3, 4 ways about it. Michael Keaton did me a favor, all right, you know, by being in Jackie Brown. It was, and he was wonderful. And I remember telling Elmore Leonard that, no, I didn't tell Elmore Leonard about Michael Keaton. He had heard about it, so I went to talk to him about something else. He goes, my God, Michael Keaton is Nicolette? Like, that's fantastic casting. That's great. All right? Because he's always really he's always had a soft spot in his heart for Nicolette, Elmore Leonard. And Elmore Leonard, you know, will use characters in different books, you know, like other novelists do, Larry McMurtry. I've set up my situation so I can do the same. Normally you can't do that in a movie because, like, oh, no, that's a sequel. But I've got a good situation with Miramax. I can do that kind of stuff, all right? And so what happened was he's in, you know, he's a big character in the book Rum Punch. And he's also got a small part in the book Out of Sight. All right, and it just so happened that Jersey Films, that was one of the producers, Stacy Scher, was one of the producers on Pulp Fiction, got the rights to Out of Sight. And so she knew that she was going to do it. And so, way before as the script was like still kind of getting written, you know, she was like, well, whoever they knew we were going to do ours first. So they said, but like they were going to do theirs right after. So she goes, oh, whoever you cast as Nicolette, we got to cast as Nicolette. That'll be great. All right, so. It was one of those things, again, movie things. We actually own the rights to Nicolette because we did it first. So, like, and they were doing it with, I forget who they did it with, TriStar or somebody. They were going to do it. And it was one of these things where it's like, okay, now it became a thing where, like, okay, Miramax was going to have to lease the rights to, you know, and I, you know, like, could charge them money. And I said, no. They get Nicolette for free. They get Nicolette for free. And they go, well, we'll quit. And they go, no. This is bullshit fucking nonsense, all right? This is, you know, it's Elmore Leonard's characters, all right? This is not about making money. This is about, you know, characters organic and free and moving back and forth. And like, no, this ain't about money. This is about, no, you can do it, all right? I refused, you know, just, they can have it, all right? I think it's a cool idea. And it was one of those things, I remember even bumping into, so they did it. And then it was one of those things, I remember, I never thought it was going to make it in the movie. And they were having length problems with their movie too. And Steven Soderbergh was like, it's such a non sequitur scene. So he was like, we got to like lose so many things, and Stacy's really pushing for it, but I don't really know if it's, even before they shot it, I don't know if it can make the final script. Well, it did make the final script. Then we had to not talk Michael into doing it, see if he was interested in doing it, all right? And Steven literally came down to just look at the Michael Keaton scenes in the editing room of Jackie Brown. So he came down, he didn't see the whole movie, we were editing, so he just showed him the scenes. And it was just one of those things, Michael was kind of game for it. So they did it, and then but it was they did it again thinking maybe it wouldn't make the final cut, but the scene when they did it in research audiences just played so well. As soon as he walked in the door, like, oh wow, hey. The audience reacted so great that there was no way they were going to lose that scene. And I don't really know Steven Soderbergh hardly at all, but he's a pretty nice guy. If I got to know him, I would like him. But it was one of those things where we were like. We were both really enthused about it because, I made it a point when I did Jackie Brown that I wasn't dealing in Quentin's universe. I was dealing in Elmer Leonard's universe, and Nicolette is a part of Elmer Leonard's universe. And the fact that that's the spillover into another Elmer Leonard movie made by a different people, a different studio, all right? But the same actor within a year, same year. It was the same year, I think, actually. It was the same year or the very next year, all right? I mean it was within about a 6 month. 6 or 7 months of the release. That was so cool, and we were talking about it, and one of the things that was so exciting, cinema history-wise, for me and Steven was we don't think it had ever been done before, where, especially in a short period of time, one actor played the same role in 2 different movies. Now, it's happened a couple times where, Ray Danton played George Raft in the George Raft story, and he also played George Raft in the Legs Diamond, played Legs Diamond. No. Ray Danton played Legs Diamond in the George Raft story, and he also played Legs Diamond in the Rise and Fall of Legs Diamond. And Jimmy Cagney played George M. Cohen in Yankee Doodle Dandy, and he played him also in The Seven Little Foys. But I don't think it was ever a situation where it happened within a year and it happened for 2 different studios. 2 different conglomerates, all right, managed to put their conglomerate bullshit aside actually and let something artistic happen. So that was really kind of cool. Something organic.
You kind of had to talk Michael into doing the role. He didn't think he was right for the role?
Yeah, well, Michael's whole process is to just I don't get this guy, this Nicolette. I love the script. He's fantastic. I wish I was old enough to play the Max Cherry part, But, this Nicolette guy, I don't really know about him. I don't know if I get him or not. And so it's his whole process was to just convince me he's not right for the role, all right? But he never quite convinced me, all right? And I'm a pretty good convincer when it comes to stuff like that, all right? But he never quite convinced me. I was like, no, I think really you'll be wonderful, all right? But Michael's whole thing is to just kind of deny himself and to say how he's not right. And I just found out later, I found out from his agent that was like, no, Quentin, you don't know about the conversations he had with Tim Burton about Beetlejuice. Like, no, I don't understand this guy. I'm not right for this. Talk to somebody else. Get Robin Williams. I just don't know. I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue. And Michael's whole process is to just say that. And if you're still in there with him, that means you have that much faith in him. Then he's like, well, okay, I guess I got to figure something out, all right? And then he figures it out, all right? And he makes the decisions, and they're perfect, all right? And we actually started shooting with Michael. Michael and Pam were like our first days, and it was that scene, and he's fantastic in that scene. That scene in the interrogation room, when the money switch has gone bad, and he's like, so I don't know if it was me. I don't know. I think I'd go shopping later. That scene, all right, that was the first day of shooting. You always do bullshit stuff, making coffee or something, montages that you're never going to use on the first day just to get your feet wet. And we did that in the last 2 hours of the first day. All right, that scene's fantastic, and he's like a fucking freight train in that scene.
Tus trailers, visita mi canal.
Out there, think, Jackie Brown.
Well, the fans of blaxploitation films, I think there might be like 3 camps as far as Jackie Brown is concerned. I think there's the fans that kind of love it. It's that kind of movie they've always kind of wanted to see. But then also I think there's another camp that probably doesn't like it, all right, where they just think it's like, I think in particularly a younger audience. I mean, you know, they thought it was too slow. They wanted to see Pam Grier, you know, with a sawed-off shotgun blowing people's heads off. They wanted to see her kicking ass, all right. But then there's the other camp of older people, all right, that love it. Just love it. I mean, I've had such, you know, I've talked to people like, oh, Jackie Brown is the shit, all right? And I've talked to people who've like, you know, yeah, no, I like Jackie Brown, but no, you know, I wanted more action. I wanted more shit in it. But my mom loved it. All right, you know, so that's what I get a lot, you know, like, you know, their mom and their dads think it was like great. Thought it was terrific, you know, but they wanted to see more action. You know, they wanted it to be more like Pulp.
What do you think those people thought of Pam's performance, though? She's come back, she's beautiful still, she's older, she's mature.
Oh, no, well, I think, you know, no, I think everybody loved Pam in the movie. She was just, what's not to love? I mean, she's remarkable in the film. No, she was just great, and she was just very empowering. And I've got a lot of great, you know, oddly enough, a big contingency of people who just adored the movie, like it was like their favorite movie of the year, or actresses. All right, you know, a lot of women, you know, see the actors obviously the women, but I mean the thing is, it's like, but I've had a lot of them like, oh no, that was my favorite movie of the year. It was because, you know, and it was like the way I used her in the film, and you know, I've had a lot of women like just really appreciate that, like, no, we like that. You like real women. You appreciate real women, and you show, and you present us, you present, real women, not just Barbie doll stick figures. You're presenting these real, real women, and you're adoring them, and it's obvious you love them, all right, and you're presenting them with their best foot forward and everything. So they really like that, the strength and she's great.
Do you think that it's empowering to actresses, because so often women tend to not be the leads, or they fall second to the men?
Well, I mean, I think one of the things about it that was like really nice is the fact that one of the things that actresses respond to is like, one, it was the lead role, but two, it's like, like this would have been this horribly bad thing, but if most other people would have done the movie, well, it's very doubtful anybody else besides me, even including a black director, would have gotten the book of Rum Punch and changed the white character to black. All right, that's doubtful. All right, but they would have probably had written it for Michelle Pfeiffer. They would have had Michelle Pfeiffer do it. All right, or somebody like that. And part of the thing is, no, she's older. All right, she's like an older woman. That was a thing about the book. They would have immediately turned the character who is 45 in the book to 35. Well, it's not the same story. It's not the same story, and so I think they like the fact that I kept the integrity of that I cast an older woman. All right, and then actually do a love story about two older people. When Pam Grier and Robert Forster kiss. In the movie, it's like their combined age is over 100. And the thing is, some people love that, but I've talked to some younger people that didn't like it at all. They're like, no, it's like watching my grandparents kiss. It's like, oh, my parents kiss. That's not sexy. And it's like, well, I didn't make it for you then. All right. But actually, it's funny also about the black audiences, their response, because I watched the film when the film came out. I really kind of made it for black audiences, all right? I made it for, everyone else is invited, all right, but I made it for black audience. Like if you make a heavy metal record, you're not making it for everybody, you're making it for heavy metal fans, all right? Well, I was making it for black audiences to go into the theaters and listen to their response, all right? And one of the things, it's like, and I didn't even realize how tunnel vision my vision was. Like for instance, black audiences and white audiences took one scene completely differently. And I was coming from the black audience perspective. I hadn't even realized anyone else would think anything but this. The scene where Robert Forster's waiting for Pam Grier to get let out of jail, all right, and then you see her kind of, walking towards us, and it's like Omar Sharif shot in Lawrence of Arabia, him crossing the desert. First he's like a heat wave, and then a mirage. He's like slowly coming into focus. And I'm giving her that power, too. I'm saying this is as important as Omar Sharif crossing the desert in Lawrence of Arabia. And it's actually one of my favorite moments of Pam's performance, actually, is that she's just so in character. I mean, she doesn't say a line, but she looks like she just got let out of jail. She's got her sass. And it's just in her walk. It's in her body language, but that's acting, too. All right, and she's just so in character. It's great. So I start playing the Delphonics. No, I don't play the Delphonics. I play Natural High. All right, and white audiences watched that and thought, oh, this is like falling in love music. Robert Forster is falling in love. He's hearing this song in his head because he's seeing this woman come to him. Oh, wow, Quentin's being kind of sappy here, actually. He's actually putting in falling in love music with the first time a character sees another character. That ain't in Robert Forster's head. That's me putting that music on there. Black audiences are sitting in the Magic Johnson Theater, and they're watching the movie, and they're seeing Pam Grier walk, towards the camera, all right, as, the music, boom, and the beats of Natural High kick in and everything. And it ain't about what's in Robert Forster's head. It's just they're watching Pam Grier walk into a movie in a big way, and they're hearing like the most soulful, greatest love song of the 70s play. She's walking in time with the music. It ain't about Robert Forster's head or about falling in love. It's just about it's all right with the world. This is a great movie moment. This is just, you could hear it in the theaters. They would just go, it's about, that's what it's about. It wasn't about, I'm, having harps playing, I didn't even realize that anyone would take it that way, all right, until they did. But like, for instance, okay, when the movie played at the Magic Johnson Theater, I had one of these situations where it's like, I saw that movie motherfucking like 13 times at the Magic Johnson Theater, all right? The whole first 4 weeks it was there, I just like lived there, all right? It was playing in one theater here, all right, and I would like just like, hop back and forth, all right? Either watch it all the way through, but at a certain point, as the weeks progressed, I would just like watch it, like the key moments, to get the key reactions, all right? When, Sam has his hands around Pam's neck, and she's like, nigga, take your hands away from my throat, all right? There's a gun in his dick, all right? And the audience was just, and they just like applauded everything. Okay, that worked. Okay, boom, and then I'd go to the next theater, all right, because it was always a staggered schedule, and I'd wait for the next big moment there. Okay, that one worked. Go over here, let's see how it's playing in this theater. But it was funny to hear like the different reactions. Actually, I think my favorite review of Jackie Brown ever was I have a few different, because if you write a movie for a black audience, and you're a director who likes audience, you're trying to play the audience like a symphony and get responses from them. You're gonna get a lot of responses, all right. You might not like every one of them, all right, but like you're gonna get feedback, all right. And I remember it was funny. It was like one of my favorite reviews on Jackie Brown was the opening night that it played. I was there at the Magic Johnson, and then like the whole audience, okay, it's over, the whole audience spills, all right, into the lobby. And so it's like that weird multiplex kind of thing where, like, for 5 minutes, it's almost like a cattle stampede, because there's like, it's just a bunch of people, bodies, like trying to get out this hallway, all right, and everyone doesn't know, I'm going to go this way, I'm going to go that way, so it's just kind of a mess for a second. And so I'm totally amongst the crowd, all right, and there's like a woman, about the same age as Jackie Brown in the movie is over there, and all of a sudden she turns around and sees a friend of hers that she didn't know was in the movie theater. She's like, oh, hey, girl, how you doing? You here too? Did you just see Jackie Brown? She goes, yeah. Wasn't it good? That's like one of my favorite reviews of the movie, all right? Opening night, a woman the same age as Pam Grier and everything like that went and saw Jackie Brown on the opening night. She could have done anything in the world that night, that she wanted to do. She went and saw Jackie Brown, and her response was, wasn't it good? All right? I remember another night I went down, and I was sitting next to this, it was kind of funny, right? Because it was like they were practically sold out, and there was like this one seat on the aisle, and there's this like young black gal sitting there, and I'm walking down there, and I go, is this seat taken? She goes, yeah. All right, and then I start walking, and she recognizes me. She goes, no, you can sit. So we sit down in the seat, and we're watching the movie. So I'm kind of watching it with her, all right? You know, we're watching and everything. And it's kind of cool, because she's like, you know, the dialogue's going, she's like, you wrote that? I go, yeah. You wrote that? And, but then we had the money switching scene, all right, where we, you know, we see the money switching from 3 different perspectives. And so that sequence is over. And so when it was all over with, and it's really kind of cool because it really plays the audience, because like the first one, it's like, you know, Pam switches the money in the back and then she walks out, all right? And in the black theaters, they didn't do it in Westwood, all right? But in the black theaters, like, yeah, I forgot the money! You forgot the money! Go back! You know, they don't know what the fuck's going on, all right? And then you like, you know, see the second story with Bridget and De Niro, and you see the next story with Max Cherry. All right, so when it was all over, I turned to her and I go, did you like that? You know, did you get that? You know? And then she said, oh, yeah, well, yeah, it's like a Quentin Tarantino movie. You don't know what the fuck's going on until you know what the fuck's going on. You know, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. All right, you know, but then like also, you know, but for instance, though, there's also the scenes, you know, the scenes with Robert and Pam, all right, and that hit like the end, basically the end love scene, which hit black audiences in different ways, all right. One audience, I'm sitting there, and there's this guy who I was like loving this guy throughout the whole movie because he was really funny, all right, and he was just saying all this like really cool shit. Like I remember, like, you know, when Sam Jackson shoots Robert De Niro, this guy's in there. Man, that Samuel L. Jackson's a bad motherfucker. He's just a bad motherfucker, man. He don't play. All right. So now, it looks like that last scene. It looks like they're gonna kiss Robert and Sam. Not Robert and Sam. That would have been. I really got a reaction. All right. Robert and Pam, and it looks like they're gonna kiss, and he's just like, you know, she's trying to walk over to him, and he's like, nah, just shake that motherfucker's hand, say thank you, and walk out the door. All right. And then they kiss, and he's like, oh man, I hate to see that kind of shit. Oh, I hate that shit. All right. Another audience, that same scene plays. And you hear this like black woman in there. You know what? Now that's a man. That is a man. So it was hitting everyone in different ways and everything. It was kind of cool. It was cool to watch and cool to observe. Cool to be a part of.
Now, let me tell you a little something about Quentin. He's a saint.
Jackie Brown's coming out. It's for the holidays. It's a love story. It's got a shopping bag full of money. So I'm thinking, why don't we show a little holiday spirit and just give the money away?
Watch MTV Live on January 5th at 6 p.m. They're going to give you a secret phone number. You call it, and you could win the 25 grand from Jackie Brown.
That is phenomenally, amazingly great, considering that I took a pay cut to work with Quentin.
Technically, the money belongs to Miramax, all right? But I told Harvey, I go, Harvey, you know who it really belongs to? This money really belongs to the people.
He really is the nicest guy in Hollywood.
Mr. Tarantino, I got the script.
What's it about?
Me and my brother.
You and your brother. Well, you know what? It just so happens that I just finished Jackie Brown and I have no idea what I want to do next. Why don't we have a walk and you tell me all about it, all right? Come on, bub. So how does it start? Page 1.
Well, my brother dies.
Quentin, are you around? Come on out. Come on down. How about a round? How are you? How you doing, man? Good to see you, man. Come say hi to the folks out here. How's it going? Make yourself at home. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Congratulations on this movie. This thing is awesome.
Oh, thanks a lot,
This
man.
is great. Tell me about, this is one of the movies that you've adapted from a novel. The first time you've really done that. Why this story?
Well, I've always been a big Elmore Leonard fan. You know, I grew up watching his, movie. I grew up reading his books.
Yeah.
All right. And his style kind of like was kind of dictated somewhat my style to some degree as far as in novels. Like, you know, his characters, they're very majorly character-based, and like they had like the kind of dialogue that you know, street dialogue and stuff that's like very realistic, but also really funny because it's so realistic. And he was actually like the first novelist that I ever read where it was like people would like talk about the things that people talk about. They talk about movies, they saw what they had on TV last night, the food that they're eating, you know, the kind of stuff people talk about. And I've always wanted to adapt his stuff. And then I read Rum Punch around the same time I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I just kind of saw the movie. in front of me.
What is your priority for casting? Like, do you immediately envision Bridget Fonda for the role of Melanie or Pam for the role of Jackie?
Well, I did for like I did for most of the main cast. All right. I mean, in the case of Sam Jackson, he just stepped off the page of the book.
Right.
It's just perfect casting. It was like a no-brainer, and just slammed him in. He was perfect. In the case of Pam, it was like a situation where I'd read the novel, and the novel was written for a white woman. All right. And so I read the book, and then she ends up. I'm thinking about like who could possibly be this person. And I'm like, okay, well, she needs to be about 44, needs to look like she's about 35, she needs to just look like the bomb, she needs to like be great looking, and she needs to look as if she can handle anything. Because the whole thing of the movie is she's like a regular woman, but she's got like the ATF, you know, putting the bite on her on this end, and she's got like Sam Jackson, who's like this scary guy, putting the bite on this end, but she always manages to keep her cool, which blows everybody's mind.
Here's a woman whose character makes $16,000 a year, has a very poor criminal history, successfully speaking, yet she masterminds this whole thing.
That's one of the big things about the flick, is the fact that it's like, you know, she's not a gangster. She's a regular person, all right? And she made a mistake a long time ago, should have got the hell out of the airline business, you know, worked her way down the ladder. Been 19 years, you know. And the thing about it, though, is like, you know, she should have changed, she didn't, she's stuck in this, like, this poor, you know, what a lot of people in this country are stuck in, you know, where they're, like, working to starve, basically. And it's going to get worse now. She's going to lose her job, she's going to go to jail. So she's got to do something about it. But she manages to always, like, see, people always underestimate her. They figure she should be more scared about stuff than she is.
You're not sure if she's going to be able to pull it off, too. Which
Oh,
is
no, not at all,
thing.
yeah.
So that's the best
and
part
she keeps
about
kind of blowing your mind a little bit, because, like, you know, when she's talking to the cops, all right, you're thinking, okay, man, she's straight with them. And she talks to Ordell, and she goes, well, gosh, she seems to be straight with him. What's going on?
You don't know who, like, she's, like, hooking up with, or, like, who's really on her team. We're going to talk more about Jackie Brown in just a little bit. Quentin is here. Let's check it. And here she is. Bridget, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Are you cozy?
I'm very comfortable here.
So tell us about Jackie Brown. How did you...
Well, what happened is that I was on an airplane that Quentin was on, and we'd been friends for a while, and I saw him and I went over and I sat down next to him, and it was a nice long flight, and he told me I'm working on this script, and I shouldn't really be telling you this, but I kind of want to, and I've been thinking about you while I'm writing it, and you're sort of right for the part, so... And that's how it happened, and I didn't want to count on it too much. But then when I got it, and I read it,
what did you think about the part of Melanie? Because it's like, if you haven't seen the movie, which it opens Christmas Day, you just basically are like smoking a bong and like surfer chick, like totally hanging out. And the funny thing to me when I watch the movie is you seem really sort of uninformed throughout the movie. You're just lounging on a couch. In fact, you wear like a bikini in the whole thing. Yet, your character knows like a tremendous amount about what Samuel L. Jackson's up to.
Yeah, I'm a real conniving bitch.
Yeah, what's up with that? Like,
just backstabbing. It's a way of life, you know.
Right. How was it for you to work on the movie?
That was great.
Tell me about some of the experiences, like working with Quentin. Is he hard on you, or is
No, he's so much fun. Well, first of all, we had a nice long stretch when he was still working on the script, and we were hanging out, bouncing on the trampoline, stuff like that, just talking about you know, bar hopping, talking about his character. And so I was really comfortable, and then, of course, I had to get over my nerves at working with Sam Jackson and Robert De Niro.
Yeah, like, how is that?
It was great. They're so cool. They're so cool. Yeah,
I love De Niro's role in this movie, too.
Oh, I know. He's hysterical.
It's actually almost similar to yours in some way. You guys are almost like, sort of seem like partners in crime there for a little while.
Well, he's oddly sweet, considering.
Right.
So, yeah. He's a different. He's fairly innocent.
Right.
Actually, we were thinking about it. He doesn't seem to be really into the money.
Right. Exactly.
And I am.
Were you like really nervous, like on the set? I mean, you hadn't worked with him before. Like when he comes out, is he just gracious and nice as an actor? And
yeah, he's totally cool. He's quiet and very private, and so I was sort of respectful. But at the same time, I really wanted to just kind of
Right, yeah.
you know, in on him.
The movie it's amazing. It really is. It's a great movie.
Oh, good,
I'm so excited for you. Congratulations
Thank
on it.
you.
When it opens, it's going to be huge. Let's check in now with Ananda as we do our Jackie Brown special, who's hanging out, I think, with some very special guests. Ananda?
Comes back to
You
me.
work for the United
We are
Nations.
certainly hanging out. Me and Quentin here chilling, and we were just watching you guys.
will
and having-
never know, but this woman has impressed me so much. I'm not going to say anything about it, but I'm just saying she is a queen. All right, go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. And again, congratulations on a really. I was cracking up through the whole movie. It's so funny. And I read something where Samuel Jackson makes a totally hilarious comment about you, and he says you're like one of his daughter's white hip-hop friends who is a black kid and white skin. It's totally natural for you. So where do you come from with that? How did you grow up in that?
Oh, I just grew up like, you know, I went to an all-black school. All my friends were black. My mom hung around with all these, like, you know, it's like the early 70s. She was a young lady. All right, so she had like black boyfriends, and like all her friends were black. So the house was like a United Nations, constantly all the time.
Sounds like a cool way to come up.
It's the greatest way, man. I mean, it's, I can't, you know, I recommend it to everybody. But it's like, but it's just like, you know, it's just who I am. And like some people say, what are you trying to, like, I ain't trying to do anything. And if you don't
feel that it's real,
it's, you know, it's like, you know, if you think I'm just, you can kiss my ass. I mean, I really don't care, you know, but I just gotta be me.
You were certainly influenced then by the blaxploitation films that blew up our next guest. She is the queen.
She's the queen.
And represents so many incredibly positive things for women like me.
Yeah, exactly. For black women and for women in general.
For women in general, exactly. Why don't you go ahead and bring her out for me?
Cool, okay. Coming up next is a woman I used to refer to always as the queen of women, all right? You know, she came out in the blaxploitation genre with Coffee, with Sheba Baby, not Sheba Baby, Sheba Baby, all right? Steven Seagal's Above the Law, Original Gangsters, and Foxy Brown. There's not a photo for it, but don't worry about it. All right, without any further ado, let's meet and greet Slammin' Pam Grier.
We gotta get up on this. We gotta give her the standing hour.
Standing over.
Good to meet you.
Hey, nice
Wonderful
to meet you too. Thank you.
Have a seat. Kick it.
Yeah.
We were getting into a bunch of things in here and a little bit of the break time. You heard?
I heard.
You were listening on
I
it?
feel you. I feel you. I felt
and
you.
Quentin already said one time that this movie truly is not. You're not Jackie Brown in this movie, but a lot of people, I mean Foxy Brown in this movie, but a lot of people would say that Jackie Brown may be a more grown-up Foxy Brown.
She's an evolution.
She's an evolution
of Foxy Brown. You see, and there's Foxy Brown in every woman, including you. Foxy Brown basically was my mama, my aunt, your mama. I'm telling you, yeah, that's how. Those are women. See, the women's movement began in the 70s, and I was a part of that. And basically, women were saying we want to be able to be assertive, but yet feminine. We want to be able to take our family, say maybe work on a construction site and go home and put on a dress and then love our man all night long and still be there for him. So that's all they were saying. And then I exemplified it in film. I wasn't the first one to invent it. It just happened then. And he said, hey, you can do, here's what I want from you. I need the evolution. Plus I need the maturity and the wisdom that will be Jackie, because Jackie needs so much confidence. Say if Quentin, say if you'd written this for me when I was doing Foxy Brown and Coffee, I don't think I could have brought the confidence and wisdom and emotionality to it. So it was right. It was meant to be
your own
now.
personal development too that allows the whole thing to come into place.
One of the things I really dig on the character Jackie Brown is the fact that, like, you know, Pam created these really wonderful, great superhero characters. But Jackie Brown ain't none of that, man. You know, she ain't like kung fuing anybody. Ain't got razor blades in her afro. Ain't got a sawed-off shotgun in her purse.
Yeah, I got them somewhere.
One of the things I love in the opening credit sequence, all right, is I set out to do the greatest Pam Grier opening credit sequence ever. All right, when she's walking down the airport, and she just looks like a badass, and she's the queen, and the Red Sea is parting, and it's just all it's just great. But then, at the end of the credit sequence, you see, she's actually just trying to get to work. She's just trying to get to job. She's, you know, she's a stewardess, all right? Yeah, after this big badass opening credit sequence, 10 seconds later, she's gonna be serving peanuts.
Really?
And that's, you know,
no peanuts on that flight. It was a cheap flight, man. We were at the low end.
So it's just like it starts off like this, but no, this is a real woman. This is a real woman living, getting through a real day.
Let me show everybody a little bit of what we're talking about. Here is Pam Grier and Jackie Brown.
Let's be realistic. Now, sooner or later, they're going to get around to offering me a plea deal, and you know that. That's why you came here to kill me.
I ain't come over here to kill you.
Hey, it's okay. Now, I forgive you. Now, let's say, if I tell on you, I walk. If I don't, I'll go to jail. I want $100,000 in an escrow account in my name if I'm convicted up to a year or put on probation. Now, if I have to do more than a year, you pay another $100,000.
She was on her, I mean, really, the movie, you guys have to go see the movie. She's incredible in this, as is the whole cast. You are also not only in the film, but on the soundtrack. You did a song called Long Time Women. Tell me really quickly, tell me the story.
He is responsible for that. And we were doing the scene where I'm going to jail, right? And he brings out this boom box and all of a sudden goes, bump, and there's a squeak, long time woman. And a squeaky little voice. I said, oh my God, you know, and then he puts it on the soundtrack. And so everyone's like, you're on the soundtrack, you sing too? It's like, oh, thank you. It was great.
It's a great song, man.
It is a good song.
Great bongo intro.
Stick around, because we got more of this great show with the cast from Jackie Brown right here on MTV Live. Stay there.
Hey, right here, everybody. Welcome back to MTV Live, Jackie Brown Special Edition. We've got Bridget Fonda and Pam Grier and Quentin Tarantino hanging out with us. And actually, Bridget, let's just check out a clip. We want to show a clip of you in the movie. Tell us, you've got a very bizarre relationship with Sam Jackson in this. Comment on that?
We like to get into each other's faces.
Yeah, that's exactly over something as small as the phone ringing.
Nothing small. In that kind of relationship, nothing is too small.
That's right. Well, let's take a look at Bridget Fonda here and Jackie Brown.
Grab that for me, would you, babe?
No, it's for you.
Girl, don't make me put my foot in yours.
The AK-47 is the most popular assault rifle in the world. This is the Chinese model. You can tell by the extra rivets running through the stripes.
Hello, it's for you.
That's what I'm saying.
Go, Bridget. Go, Bridget.
Boy, I bet wardrobe really had a tough time with you in the movie. It's like the same bikini and little shorts just hanging out there.
But the crew was digging on it. All right, crew morale. There was no talk of a strike during Bridget's days.
All right. They were all there and more.
Do you ever think Oscar when any of you guys get involved in a project at this stage? Do you ever?
At the end of the day, I just want to do the job.
Yeah.
You know, and it's about people coming to the theater and enjoying what you do.
Right.
And that's all. You know, Quentin and I, we talked about that, equating me with other things, and you know, don't worry about stuff. No, just do the work because we have so much to focus on.
Yeah.
By the way, though, I might add that in the history of the Oscars, no Best Actress has ever been black. Ever. There's been Best Actor, there's been I ain't never been a Best Actor. No, yes it has. Sidney Poitier once. Best Supporting Actors have won, Best Supporting Actresses have won, but there's never been a Best
Maybe 98 will
Actress.
be the year.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think the Big O.
Hey, thank you guys for coming. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to check out the movie. Jackie Brown, it opens on Christmas Day. Thank you guys for being here.
Hey,
be
man,
sure,
it's been great,
be
man.
sure and watch MTV all next week for a chance to win a boatload of cash. The Jackie Brown special, very much. The Jackie Brown contest, a chance to win a suitcase full of money next week on MTV. Be sure to check it out.
To me and Bridget.
That's right. That's right. And we will see you tomorrow on MTV Live.
Harvey Weinstein.